Hey, what's up everyone, PersNikity here, moving on with the Alien Isolation walkthrough. This is Mission 9. First off, quick apology, the video is going to be coming a little bit late today, just a little bit. There were a lot of technical glitches, so to make a long story short, one of my family members, they decided to give me the TV that was in their room, and it's bigger than the monitor that I was currently using, so I said, alright, awesome. So I took the new TV, I spent, a little while like transporting it to my room, setting everything up, getting all the wires hooked up and whatnot. And then I went to record the voiceover, and everything went wrong with the headphones. And so I sat there trying to figure out what was wrong for about 20 minutes. No, not that long, probably like 5 minutes. But, after it wasn't working, I was convinced that the TV was not working. So then I went and took it out, and I put back in my regular TV. And then the headphones weren't working again. And so I don't know how it happened, but it turns out my headphones stopped working. It was nothing with the TV. So then once I found that out, I reversed the entire process again, and I put in the bigger TV. Anyway, we're here now. I'm kind of bummed because those headphones were kind of a crucial part of my recording process. Now I'm using like just standard iPod headphones, which don't really work that well because I need headphones that have a volume control right on the headphone, like a little spin wheel. So I'm probably going to have to get a new pair of headphones sometime soon, but for now, I can still at least do the video stuff without them, so it's not like an urgent rush or anything. Anyway, let's get to the gameplay. So Mission 9 is really cool because, as you can see, we are doing a little flashback. So we talked to the guy Marlowe, who, so if you've been paying attention to the story, Marlowe, he works for a kind of like just scavenging crew out in space, and they came across the flight recorder from the ship the Nostromo, which is from the first Alien movie. It's the ship that Ripley was on. The ship that she blows up at the end to try to destroy the alien. So Marlowe and his crew, they came across the flight recorder, and then they landed on the Sevastopol, and that's how the alien outbreak started. So right now we are kind of going through a flashback through Marlowe's perspective to show us how they came into contact with the aliens. So it's actually really cool. You can see that we are in our spacesuits and we're on this foreign planet. Very bleak, very depressing looking, very scary looking. This is the planet. This is the planet from the first movie. Also, the planet is featured in the movie Prometheus. So if you know anything about the Alien franchise, this should be pretty familiar. I'm definitely no expert on the franchise, so I might be making some mistakes here or there. If I am making any mistakes, then feel free to correct me in the comments below. But Chapter 9, luckily for us, is really easy. There's no enemies here, there's no collectibles, there's no weapons, there's no parts. This is just purely a flashback to shed light on the story. So you can really kind of let your guard down here and just enjoy the game and not have to worry about the alien stalking you every waking minute. And so I like to use videos like this where there's not a lot going on. I like to use these videos to promote like some sort of discussion on the channel and pose a question. And so the question I'd like to pose today is, if any of you watching are like big Alien fans, what is one piece of kind of like expanded universe material for Alien, for the Alien franchise, that you would recommend beyond the video games and movies? So obviously the movies are the bulk of the franchise. The video games are probably the second most popular component. But Alien also has a wide list of comic books, and I believe there's also some Alien novels as well. I might be wrong about that. I know that there are Predator novels, so I'm just kind of assuming that there are Alien novels. But I'm curious to know, what is your favorite part beyond just the movies and games? So for me, I'd have to say I really enjoy the Alien comic books. Specifically, I don't have any one story arc that stands out, but I just remember as a kid, I would go to the comic book store a lot, and I was big on superheroes. I still am really big on superheroes. And so one day at my local shop, I was just kind of hanging out there for a couple hours, and I was looking through the books, and my friend had recently introduced me to Predator. So once I saw Predator, I started looking at Predator comics, and then the guy was like, oh, you should also check out Alien comics, you might like those as well. So I looked at Alien, and that was the first time I'd ever seen an Alien comic book. I was familiar with the franchise barely. My cousin forced me to watch one of these movies as a little kid, and it scared the shit out of me. But yeah, so I just remember kind of as a kid looking through some of these Alien comic books, and it was kind of my first exposure to like violence and blood in comics, because the superhero books I read were more, not necessarily kid friendly, but just, you know, all around ages. It wasn't gory or anything like that. So it was kind of a big shock when I saw it in the comic book. And yeah, and then, you know, fast forward years later, the movies really took off. Well, the movies were popular before I was born, but like the sequel movies, you know, Prometheus, Covenant, the Alien vs. Predator films, all the video games, everything really got blown out of proportion. But anyway, here is the ship. So again, if you've seen Alien 1 or Prometheus, this is the ship that the engineer is in, and where they first discover the xenomorph species in a sense, but they don't know it yet. So you'll see what I mean by that. At the end of this video, there's a really creepy cutscene. But anyway, yeah, so I would love to know what you guys recommend. Are there any particular comic books that you would like to talk about? Are there any Alien novels that I don't know about? Anything like that? I know like Alien vs. Predator was also one of my was kind of like my first exposure to the aliens in the movies. So like I said, when I was a kid, I saw my cousin forced me to watch one of the Alien movies, but I can't even say I really watched it because I had my eyes behind my hand the whole time. But then when I grew up and you know, kind of got a liking for this type of thing, I saw Alien vs. Predator 1 and 2, and then I saw Predator 1, and I actually really enjoyed AVP 1. So I know those movies kind of got poor reviews, but you know, when I watched them, I enjoyed the first movie a lot. I thought it was really fun, really creepy, really, you know, a lot of cool action in there. But when I saw AVP 2, I actually hated it. I thought that AVP 2 was just like, it was just a bloodbath, and there was no real story going on. It was just, hey, watch the Alien and Predator or watch the Alien and Predator slaughter a lot of people. You know, I felt like Alien 1 at least had some sort of story. Like there was this ancient temple buried underground, and these archaeologists were going to check it out, and they thought they had the find of a lifetime. And they were kind of discussing like the lore. I think it was like the aliens were living in the temple, and the predators would come to Earth every 10,000 years or something to hunt. So I don't know. I thought it was really cool. Looking back on it, I haven't watched the movie in a long time, so maybe they explained this, but looking back on it, I feel like the only thing that strikes a nerve with me is, were the aliens living under the Earth's surface all these years? Because that seems kind of weird. That seems very dangerous. So I don't know. Maybe I should rewatch those movies, but I remember I really enjoyed the first one the first time I saw it, and yeah, but anyway, so here you should recognize a familiar scene, which is just really cool. So if you're playing along, you might want to just walk around this room and take in the visuals, because it is really cool. This thing that you see right here, it is definitely it is definitely described more in Prometheus. So in Alien, you really just see this, but there's not really an explanation. And of course that's because Alien is the thing that started it all, so they didn't know it was going to take off the way it did. But then in Prometheus, you return to this location, and there's a lot more explanation as to what it is you're seeing here, and it has to do with, you know, what they call the engineers and the engineers' mission and everything, which I'm not going to talk about or spoil or anything, since, you know, Covenant just came out, so a lot of people might be seeing Prometheus for the first time. Anyway, so once you're done kind of looking around this room, you are going to cross the room, and there's going to be a ledge here, and you're going to have to do the same thing that you've been doing. You're going to have to get someone to give you a boost up to the ledge. So yeah, as soon as these guys are done finishing out their dialogue, that's when he says, turn off the beacon. You'll actually get an achievement for turning off the beacon. Super simple to do. So, you know, easy trophy or easy gamer score. But yeah, so go ahead and hop up here, and you just have to follow the path to the beacon. It's impossible to miss, and you'll turn it off. And then, you know, speaking earlier about like different parts of the Alien franchise, I'm curious to know if there are any other good video games besides this one. So I remember a few years ago on the Xbox 360 and PS3, there was an Alien vs. Predator game, and in that game you could play as the aliens during one campaign, the Predators had a campaign, and then the humans had a campaign. I remember that game being a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that game, and it had multiplayer, which I thought was really fun as well. So that game really got me back into the Alien and Predator stuff, and that's when I kind of revamped my comic book interest and stuff. But then another game came out a couple of years later, which was the Alien Colonial Marines, and that game I never played, but I heard that it was one of the worst games ever made. It was just filled with bugs. It wasn't fun. I heard just overall it was a terrible game, so I never played it. And then when this game was announced, I had low expectations because I thought, you know, the last game I heard was such a failure. How are they going to pick themselves back up? But then the closer this game got to launch, I was watching more and more trailers and gameplay videos for it, and it seemed different. It seemed like this game was going to be a success, and sure enough, it really was. I think this game did a good job at redeeming the Alien video game franchise. And those are the only 3 games I know about, the 3 that I just mentioned. So if I'm missing any, feel free to let everyone know in the comments below. But this game was a lot of fun. It came out in 2014 though, and they haven't really done much with it since. Like, they haven't, as far as I know, they haven't announced any sequels or anything like that, or any new projects, which seems surprising. Usually when companies have a successful game, they want to make it a cash grab and, you know, come out with a sequel as soon as possible. I don't know if that's in the works or anything like that. I wouldn't be against it because this game was a lot of fun. That being said, this game obviously has a close tie-in to the first movie and to the characters, you know, namely the main Ripley. So maybe they just, you know, don't have any more material, and if they make a new game, they're going to have to make up a story from scratch. I don't know. Either way, if they keep the same kind of mechanics, they should be just fine. But you're going to lower yourself down into here, and you are going to see, you know what they are, but the characters you're playing as have no idea yet. So go ahead and just lower yourself all the way down. They're going to tell you to meet them over there, so go ahead and walk over, and that's when you're going to be treated to a short little cutscene that will end the chapter. So that's about it for Chapter 10. We're getting close. We're about halfway through the game now. And yeah, so thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe if you get the chance, and I'll see you in the next video.